Before we begin, I want you to think about the last time you went to a carnival. The lights, the music, the rides. That strange mix of excitement and something you couldn't quite explain. Now imagine that same place, years later, abandoned, broken, left to rot. No music, no people, just silence. But what if it wasn't empty? What if it was just waiting for the sun to go down? Tonight's story follows two boys, Mark and Anthony, who thought they had found the perfect place to explore. A forgotten carnival, frozen in time. They went in during the day. They didn't realize they wouldn't be leaving at night. This is the last ride. The fence had been down for years. Rust had eaten through the metal until it bent outward, creating an opening just wide enough for someone curious or stupid enough to slip through. Mark grinned as he stepped over it. "Dude, this is perfect," he said, brushing dirt off his jeans. "No one's been here in forever." Anthony hesitated for a second before following. The air inside felt different. Not colder, not warmer, just still. Too still. "Yeah," Anthony muttered, glancing around. "That's kind of the problem." At first glance, it didn't look scary.
Just old. The kind of old that felt forgotten rather than haunted. Faded colors peeled from wooden booths. Game stalls leaned slightly like they were tired of standing. The Ferris wheel loomed overhead, frozen mid-turn, its rusted frame creaking softly in the breeze.
"Man," Mark said, stepping forward. "This place must have been insane back in the day." Anthony nodded slowly, but something about it bothered him. The layout.
Everything was too intact, too arranged, like it hadn't just been abandoned, like it had been left. They spent the next hour exploring, climbing onto broken rides, pushing open doors to empty ticket booths.
Kicking through debris like they owned the place. Mark laughed as he hopped onto a carousel horse. "Look at this thing," he said, grabbing the pole. "Still works, probably." He pushed off the ground lightly. The platform creaked, shifted, moved, just slightly. Mark froze. "Did you see that?" Anthony didn't laugh. "Yeah," he said quietly. "I did." The entrance to the funhouse was half collapsed. The painted clown face above it had cracked down the middle, splitting its grin into something jagged and uneven. "Let's go in," Mark said immediately. "Why?" Anthony shot back. "Because it's cool," Anthony sighed. "Yeah, that's usually how bad ideas start." But he followed anyway. Inside, it was darker. The air felt heavier. Mirrors lined the walls, most of them cracked, some completely shattered. Their reflections stretched and warped as they moved. Anthony stopped. "Did you see that?" "What?" "One of the mirrors. It lagged." Mark laughed. "Dude, it's broken glass. Relax." But Anthony wasn't convinced, because for a moment, his reflection hadn't moved when he did. They heard it as they stepped back outside. A faint sound, distant, familiar. Music. Mark turned slowly. "You hear that?" Anthony nodded. It was faint, warped, like an old recording being played on something that barely worked anymore. A carousel tune. Slow, off-key. They both looked toward the center of the carnival. The carousel. It wasn't moving, but the music was definitely coming from it. "Let's just check it out," Mark said, already walking. Anthony followed, but slower. Something felt wrong now. Not just strange. Wrong. As they moved closer, the light began to change. The sky had shifted from bright afternoon to something softer. Orange. Fading. Anthony stopped walking. "Mark." "What? What time is it?" Mark checked his phone. "That's weird." "What?" "It's 6:47. Anthony's stomach dropped. We got here at like 2. They both looked at the sky. The sun was already sinking. Too fast. The music grew louder, clearer. Wrong. The carousel stood in the center, painted horses frozen mid-gallop. But now, it It was moving. Slowly, very slowly, creaking with each turn. We didn't touch it, Anthony whispered. Mark didn't respond, because something else had changed. The horses, their faces, they weren't smiling anymore. The moment the sun touched the horizon, everything stopped. The music, the movement, the wind. Silence fell over the carnival like a blanket. And then, something shifted. Not in front of them, behind them. Anthony turned and saw one, standing near a game stall. Tall, too thin. Its body wrapped in something that looked like old carnival fabric. Faded stripes, torn and hanging loosely from its frame. Its face was a mask, cracked, smiling, and it was looking directly at them. The sun disappeared. Darkness came fast, too fast. Lights flickered on across the carnival, one by one. Strings of bulbs glowing dimly, casting long, trembling shadows. The music returned, louder, warm, alive, and everywhere. Things began to move. Shapes stepped out from behind rides. Figures emerged from booths. Clowns, performers, things that used to be people, all watching, all turning, toward Mark, toward Anthony. Run, Anthony whispered. They turned toward the entrance, toward the broken fence. But when they reached it, it wasn't broken anymore. The metal stood tall, unbent, unbroken, like it had never been touched. Mark slammed into it. No, this isn't... Behind them, the music grew louder, closer. When they turned back, the entire carnival was looking at them. The moment the fence refused to open, the carnival woke up. Lights flickered violently overhead, strings of bulbs snapping on in uneven waves, casting sickly yellow and red glows across the cracked pavement. The music swelled, not just from the carousel now, from everywhere. Calliope organs groaned to life, their notes dragging and bending like something trying to remember a melody it had forgotten how to play. Mark stumbled back from the fence, breathing hard. "This isn't funny anymore," he said, voice shaking. This is messed up." Anthony didn't answer, because he was staring past him. "Mark, what? Don't turn around too fast." Mark turned anyway, and his stomach dropped. They weren't alone anymore. Figures stood scattered across the carnival grounds. Dozens of them. Some near the rides. Some half hidden behind booths. All still. All watching. A clown stood closest. Its face painted in wide, exaggerated features. But the paint had cracked and peeled, revealing something darker beneath. Its smile stretched too far. Its eyes were wrong. Not empty, but too full. Like something was looking out from behind them. The clown moved. Slowly. Deliberately. It raised one long gloved hand and pointed toward a game booth. The lights above it flickered on, revealing a sign. Win a prize. The words were faded, but fresh enough to read. "Don't," Anthony whispered. Mark didn't move, because something else had started. Laughter, soft at first, and louder, all around them, from every direction. A voice echoed through the carnival, not from a speaker, from the air itself, distorted, cheerful, wrong. "Welcome back." Mark's breath caught. "Play the games." Anthony grabbed his arm. "We need to run. There is no exit." The lights flickered violently. Only the ride. The booth lit up brighter. A ring toss. Simple. Bottles lined up neatly. Rings stacked to the front. Mark shook his head. No way, we're not." The ground beneath them shifted. Not much. Just enough. Enough to push them forward. Closer. The clown stood behind the booth now, smiling, waiting. Anthony picked up a ring. "Don't," Mark said. "We don't have a choice." Anthony's hands were shaking. He threw. The ring landed perfectly around the neck of a bottle. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the bottle moved. It breathed. The glass stretched. Warm. There's something inside it. Opened an eye. Anthony screamed, stumbling back. The clown clapped slowly. Winner! Something dropped onto the counter. A small stuffed toy. A bear. Its stitching was uneven. Its smile, too tight. Take it, the voice whispered. Anthony shook his head violently. I'm not touching that. The ground shifted again. Harder this time, forcing him forward. The bear fell into his hands. And the moment it did, it twitched. The carnival changed again. The ride started moving. Not fast. Not yet. Just enough to creak. To groan. To come alive. The Ferris wheel began to turn. Slow. Each carriage rocking gently as it climbed. And inside, shapes moved. Figures pressed against the glass. Watching. Run! Mark shouted. This time they didn't hesitate. They sprinted between booths, past rides, through shadows that seemed to stretch too far and cling too tightly. Behind them, the laughter followed. Closer now. Faster. They burst through the broken entrance. The mirrors were different now. Not cracked. Whole. Perfect. And in every reflection, something stood behind them. Not just the things outside. Different things. Worse things. Versions of themselves. Smiling. Anthony tripped. The bear slipped from his hand and rolled across the floor. Mark turned. Get up! But something had already reached him. Not touching. Just there. Close. Too close. Anthony looked up and saw it. Not a clown. Not a person. Something else entirely. Mark, Anthony whispered. His voice sounded distant, like it wasn't fully there anymore. Don't let them. The lights shattered, glass raining down around them. And when Mark looked again, Anthony was gone. Mark ran, blind, panicked, until he reached the center. The carousel. It spun slowly now, fully alive. The horses moved, their mouths opening, their eyes rolling, and one was empty, waiting. The voice returned, soft, close. Every carnival needs guests. Mark backed away. No. And every guest takes a ride. The ground shifted, pulling him forward, toward the carousel. The next morning, the carnival stood silent again, broken, abandoned. The fence bent open, just like before. Inside, nothing moved, nothing breathed, nothing lived, except one small detail. On the carousel, two new figures stood among the horses, perfectly still, perfectly smiling, waiting. During the day, it looks abandoned, broken, forgotten. But at night, it remembers what it is, and it remembers who comes inside. If you ever find a place like that, a carnival that shouldn't still be there, a ride that shouldn't still move, don't stay too long. Don't wait for the sun to set. And whatever you do, don't play the games, because some places don't let you leave. They let you stay. Forever. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because there are more stories like this, waiting, and some of them are already open. Sleep well, and don't follow the lights.